on Friday night.
We're starting now. Go on. But there are people waiting.
Well, I can't teach you anything. Can't tell you anything. All I do is point toward and ask you to look to where we're pointing to. See for yourself. And you've all been here before, and some of you have got a pretty good grasp of it. Some mightn't have so much. So I won't try and bring it that for those that are new. I think it's covered with a lot of old ideas and images, straight to the point. It is just that cognising emptiness.
I knew that was going to happen. We're just streaming, and this noise is horrible.
Hey Simon.
How you going?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Good to see you.
Lovely.
Good to see everybody too. Sorry about that. I had a lapse of attention.
We get to start at 11 next time. You go.
All right. So we won't muck around. It's non-duality we're pointing to. One without a second. Just this, nothing else. Not gonna. Pure, non-conceptual, ever fresh presence awareness. Just this, nothing else. There's nothing to become, nothing to get, no one to become, or no one to get anything. Because if, as they say, it's one without a second, and when you look into the scriptures and traditions, you'll see that for yourself. And that's what needs to happen. See for yourself. Because nobody's going to do it for you. Because there is no one apart from that pure awareness or intelligence energy, which they put terms like God and the Supreme on, and the spiritual, and all these other concepts, which make it, implies that there's something we, as so-called human beings, have to get. And think, taken on the belief we are separate. We are individuals, we are persons. And there's such a thing as spiritual. But they point out it's all one essence, patterning, shaping, forming, and appearing and expressing as everything. And where does the seeming division come in, the separation? Only through the words. We've all learnt words, and the words are what seemingly divides it. Day, night, winter, summer, good, bad, pleasant, painful, happy, sad, me and not me. All concepts, all words. All, what is the screen on which everything appears in? What is this so-called manifestation? What does the manifestation appear in? And when you look into it a little bit, all you've got to do is see there's nothing you can postulate, think of, outside of space, or silence, or stillness. What could it be in, if there was any such thing? And we use the term things, not realising that everything, so-called thing, Like the trees, the flowers, you, me, the room, the space, are all things. And the space itself is no thing. It has no centre, no circumference, no beginning, no end. It just is. So, all these things, you, me, and everything else, can you postulate it or think of it or see if it recognised, could it be out of space? Could it be outside of space? What would it be in? You have to realise it's got to be in something. And that something is the space, which is no thing. And the things which appear in it, body, mind, trees, flowers and everything else, all things, appearing in that no thing, not separate from the no thing. What must they be? You realise that they must be no thing also. You and I, though it seems solid, substantial, real, looking around it is no thing. We are no thing. The pattern, shapes and form are seemingly so, appearing to be so. And you see that if you ask yourself the question, if it's all appearing in spaces, space is no thing, can something come from no thing? And you can't postulate or think of anything, these things that would be outside of space, or any sound that would be outside of the stillness. And you realise that all this manifestation is appearing in that no thing. So it's only the no thing. Now, when we've taken on the belief that we're separate and call ourselves person and learn words, believe in birth and death and all these things with the words we've learned, naturally we take ourselves to be something, this person. Person coming from persona, the Latin language meaning mask. And the mask is a conceptual image, an image, something imagined we believe ourselves to be. And Nisargadatta, a seeming thing called Nisargadatta, who was no thing, who was the pure intelligence energy, the same as each and every one of us are, but who recognised that and understood it, said that nothing can trouble you except your own imagination. And that's what this seeming human pattern is able to do. And the vibrating energy that it is vibrates in the different patterns, shapes and forms, ideas, images. What's a word? Basically all a word is sound. Vibrates the sound into words, concepts, ideas, images. What's a sound? A sound is a vibration. And what's a vibration? It's a movement of energy. So that car that just made a noise outside, or a motorbike, whatever it was sound, a vibration. If you were outside, you could see it. And in here, we heard it. And of course, with the imagining on that sound, we put a pattern, shape and form, and recognised it from what we recognised it before, as a motorbike, or if it was that or a sound, or car. And the other way around too. The words are sound, vibration, and the body, and the seeming mind in it. Mind, what's mind? Show me a thing called mind.
Speak up a little.
Mind is word, isn't it? What we call word is just a vibration of that same, what I call, intelligence energy, that this pattern is suffused with, a knowingness, a life. They're labels we put on the functioning that's going on. Words, labels, ideas, concepts, images. And that is a capacity that these human patterns have, which other animals, birds, insects don't have that same capacity. Still, the vibration is still going on them, but they haven't learned the capacity of reasoning or learned words. We have, and the problem is, when the words came upon us, we never realised or thought to question them. So we don't question the words. We take them to be real and actual. And so the word concept is simply taking on a meaning. And look into it and recognise that it's all a vibration of that energy. See how that energy vibrates. When we put the words on it, we put the meaning on it, we see it's either good or bad, pleasant or painful, happy, sad, loving, hating, positive, negative, high, low, thin or thick, always in the interrelated opposites. Look out there in nature, see if that nature's vibrating is doing it in any different way, day and night, winter or summer, rain or fine, so all the other opposites in which it vibrates. Now have a look at that. Without the vibration, could anything at all be discriminated? How could you say it was bad if there wasn't the idea or concept was good? How could you say it was darkness or light without dividing how it's appearing? Light is the absence of darkness. Darkness is the absence of light. All depends on the way this earth, which is vibrating or rotating around the sun. If it wasn't the sun, could there be any such thing for us as darkness or light, day or night? So when you look into the opposites, you'll see there couldn't be one without the other. Could there be happiness without sadness? Could there be fear if there wasn't the, what's the opposite of that?
Excitement.
Yeah. Wasn't excitement or, I forget it anyway, it doesn't matter. But see, all these opposites are seeming the vibration that's seemingly divided. not realizing, as they point out in the scriptures, that it's all one essence. Ancients who have recognized or realized this have gone back and recognized their true nature. See, it's only the one essence that's vibrating. Could there even be one without the concept or idea of other than one? And when there appears to be the other than one, instead of seeing it, it's the same essence that expresses in the different patterns, shapes and forms, good and bad and all the rest of it. It's still only the one. And they say one without a second. But as it is with the beliefs, it's all vibrating dualistically. There's always the seeming other, not realising or recognising that there's still the one essence, two-ended. I say each stick has two ends on it. No one-sided coin. Each coin has two sides to it. And could there be a one-sided coin? There can't be. So there can be no manifestation, no functioning at all if it didn't appear dualistically. And we've taken the dualism to be two, other than one. And we've related to this pattern, which we believe to be I or me, and taking it to be separate from the other. And with that sense of separation comes insecurity. If you think there's something else out there, especially when we had no words and we start learning words and realise that you didn't have any words when you were born, now you've created the sense of separation. Instead of realising it's still two ends of the one stick, it's still the one coin. Now with the sense of separation, we think the other, we're seeing what we believe to be ourselves, we're seeing other than that, and seeming separate from it, and not sure what it is, becomes that sense of insecurity, vulnerability in that division. And that causes fear, anxiety, stress, guilt, shame, remorse. All the psychological suffering comes about from that seeming division. And when we're told it's not separate by those that have recognised and realised it, we think we've got to get rid of the bad. That we don't want that. So we try and force it out, get rid of it. Not realising that it's just the one essence. You can't separate day from night, because the darkness is the other end of the light. It might appear to be so, but all it is in this pattern here, it's the earth facing toward the sun is light. It takes the light from the sun. And the other side, which is facing away from the sun, there's no light getting to it. So it's darkness. But is there either one or the other? Or is it the same thing? Different patterns, different shapes, different forms appearing. With this person, this individual, the words we learned, I am a separate entity, I'm an individual, I'm a person. What's the word person? Isn't it a word we've learned? And where's all the discrimination coming about from? Isn't it from all these words we've learned or concepts? Those again that have understood it call it the great perfection. What can you add to the perfect? Meaning it's the one essence, patterning, shaping, forming, and experiencing, expressing is everything. It's perfect. It's absolute. And they tell us the great perfection is non-conceptual awareness. What's a concept? A concept is a thought, a sound, a vibration. In those concepts, vibrations, we've learnt words. Parents learned it before us, and we learn words from our parents, but realise that you weren't born with any words. You came into existence without any words. We didn't know it at the time because we had no words. How could we know it? We couldn't say we were born. But at the age of 2, 2.5, or somewhere around that age, the capacity of reasoning developed in us as this little embryo, this little fetus, which was now the baby, began to grow. It continued growing from the sperm and the ovum, the egg, 2 eggs, 2 vibrating patterns of that intelligence energy, doubled and formed, doubled again and keep doubling, again, seeming doubling, forming the one, the body. But there had to be seeming two to form the one in the first place. So it's all seemingly so, seemingly divided. It's the one essence appearing, patterning, shaping, forming, expressing as everything, and that is all there is into everything. The one became the many. Take that word became or become. What does becoming imply? When you are being right now, you think you're going to become something. Becoming implies a future time. It's not what is right now. What is happening in this immediacy. Right now. Right now, you haven't lost sight of that presence, awareness, the knowing, being, knowing and loving to be. You can't negate the beingness, and that being is suffused with an innate intelligence or knowing. And realise that that being is there right now, and the knowing of that being is there right now. And the loving of that being. We want to be. We like this beingness. And the pure beingness, when you have taste of that, you see there's nothing wrong with it. It is clarity. As they say, have an affectionate awareness of being. In that clarity, like the sun shining without the clouds, there's more warmth. Well, you can relate that warmth to affection. When you're affectionate towards somebody, you're warm towards them, aren't you? But how many times and how long have we not been warm towards ourselves? Not avoided that affection is love. The love of being. We think we've got to become loving. We've got to find love. But not seeing in the scripture how they pointed out, Satchitananda, being, knowing, and loving to be, or existence consciousness, bliss. Why they put it, different words meaning the same thing. So that life, that beingness, is love itself. And they point that out in the scriptures. Call it God or absolute. And in Isaiah it tells you, be still and know that I am is God. That sense of presence. The knowing that you are. If you're still and settle into it. That is the love of life, the love of being. It'll be recognised. You can't negate it. It is the natural state. And what's happened? The cloud of concepts are simply continually coming up and obscuring it. And the thing is, the concepts come up frequently, and we've learned to go into the concepts more and more instead of relaxing, because we've taken on this idea that we can think our way through it, because the capacity of reason is very useful and can be used, and we can think our way through a lot of things. That's what it's useful for. But the living itself, the life itself, is not a thought. It's a pure, non-conceptual, ever-fresh presence awareness. Ever-fresh means it's spontaneously coming up. Right here, right now. See what's happening in that body? The breathing is happening, isn't it? And notice I didn't say you are breathing. The breathing is happening. The heart is beating. The hair and fingernails are growing. The food's being digested. Just the same as in nature. The earth is going round the sun. The tides are coming in and out. Stars and satellites, galaxies are forming. Volcanoes exploding, imploding. Things are vibrating, coming, appearing and disappearing. But there's not one particle of it could be outside of that space. And the space itself is no thing. You can't grasp space. Can't find a centre to it or a circumference to it. Does it have any beginning? Scientists and physicists are pinpointing to a beginning, big bangs and things like that. And there might be a seeming cognising of it right here and right now, but was anybody or anything there could say this is where it began. This is how or why. And the same with this body mind that you think you are. Can you say a time when you began? People who were there, others who were there, and that a birth appeared in the functioning intelligence energy was there with them. And they seemingly related to all what they recognise as appearing, which is all spontaneous right now. But you yourself can't say, I was born. What I call you. But are you separate from that life in which all this appears in. That's what it appears in, life. A pure intelligence energy. There is no thing appearing as something. So there's only that life. No one who is living alive. But we take on that concept that I'm alive, I'm living. See how it functions from that point. Something comes up and I'm living this life, I like it. If it's something good, something that's enjoyable, I like it. Relating to this conceptual image, we like something, we don't want it to change. We don't want it to go. Not recognising that everything, and look around and see for yourself, is transient. I mean by transient, it's constantly changing, constantly changing. We think this body's a static thing. It's over seeming time, we don't notice the change. We do over a period of time, after a long while, we notice the change, but in its immediacy, we see it's happening right now. But it's transient. Don't realise that there are thousands of cells dying in it right now. Just the same, all the manifestation is transient. But something comes up and this thing we like, it's been changing, and we don't like it, and we get fearful of the change, anxious about it, unhappy, depressed and guilty because this change is going on, and thinking we had something to do with it, the change makes us fearful or guilty or jealous or envious, remorseful, or what we call psychological suffering, because it's all affecting this conceptual image I've got. So it's me can be fearful, me unhappy, me depressed. We don't want it to change, so what do? We try with all our might to keep it there, not recognising it's transient, no matter how much you love it, how much you want to keep it there, in spite of what you want and think it's going to change. This Wei Wu Wei says, why are you unhappy? Because everything you think, everything you say, and everything you do is for yourself. And have a look at it. Who is the self that it's for? Well, obviously it's for me, little Bob. It's for me. But wait a minute. Is this me real? Is it what I am? Or is it just a word that I put on the activities that are going on here? I realise me, or I, is another label for me, is a word that I've learned. And is there any word that is real? Look at the word water. I'm not going to drink the word fire. I'm not going to heat myself or warm myself or cook with the word fire. So what is this I or me? If it's just a word. What am I without the word? Well, I realised that I didn't have any words when I was born. Otherwise I'd be able to tell you I was born at such and such. But I've got to go to others who apparently believe they saw it. And this seeming I can see other pattern shapes and forms that are appearing that are taken to be similar to this pattern shape and form. And they're taken to be real because they're never questioned. So this manifestation around me, instead of being looked into, is taken to be actual, real. Because our parents tell me it's real. The word's real. And this is where the division and unhappiness happens. When I've taken on the word, as I said before, and not recognising that it's going to change anywhere, I try to keep it there by hanging on to the word. And it doesn't happen. And that brings about it, with it, the sense of insecurity comes up, and I'm fearful about this, what's going on, because it's affecting this conceptual image, me. I'm unhappy about it. I'm depressed. Or I've done something which I think is wrong. I'm guilty, or jealous, or envious. All this conceptual, psychological imaging coming up, fear, anxiety, stress, guilt, has now become seemingly real because the intelligence, energy, has gone into the belief that it is real. I've never questioned it. And so this me, when I'm seeing it initially, I am as me. It's just this sense of presence, this presence awareness. Now, it is me that's having this sense of presence, this awareness, and all these other concepts. It's me that's fearful. It's me that's anxious. It's me that's unhappy. Me that's depressed. And the suffering comes about because of that. The meaning put into depression, fear and anxiety, anger, jealousy and envy, and even into love. I mean, the meaning we put into it, instead of seeing this natural, spontaneous sense of well-being and affectionate awareness, the love of being, I like to put it, the joyousness of life, the sense of being well. So now we're separate. And I don't like this was going on. I've got to try and get rid of it, so I resist it. This conceptual image that thinks it has this power, puts that energy into it and resists what's going on, fighting with it. And that brings about all this conflict, this unhappiness, this disease. So that's putting the labels back on it, resistance, conflict and disease, all related to me. So the conceptual image. So again, it becomes a problem of relationship. What's relationship? Relative to. Relative to means me relating to something other, that's the two, the other one. Relativity, relationship is dualism. Now from the spontaneous, natural, pure intelligence energy, it's become me and the other, two, a separate entity, relating to other things. And the two, not just the two, I look around me and see all these patterns, shapes and forms become the many. So there's going to be a hell of a lot of conflict coming to when I'm relating to this, that and the other and all different things separately. The same when the good thing comes up. Something comes up, a fear or a stress or an anxiety or a guilt. A thought comes up, a feeling. I don't like it. I shouldn't be thinking this. This is bad. This is wrong. and I've got to get rid of the bad. I can't be loving when this is going on. I can't be happy or complete. So again we resist it. And again conflict. And again disease. Recognise that all things come about because they believed in duality, dualism. And we need to hear again and again and again there is absolutely no duality in non-duality. None whatsoever. Never was, never will be, never could be. But now we think we've got to become non-dual. We think there was such a thing as duality. There is such a thing as duality. So the belief is in the appearance again. And they call this appearance, this manifestation, is phenomenal manifestation. And the definition of phenomena is that which appears to be. Telling you there straight, it appears to be, it's only seemingly so. And again they point a bit further. The manifestation is Maya. What they call Maya is illusion. So all this manifestation, including you, me, the patterns that appear in it, are Maya. They're illusion. Only appearing to be real. And the energy of belief's gone into them and they seem to us to be very real until it's investigated and seen through. And then it points out also that me is the cause. The belief in this separate entity, this individual, is the cause of all my psychological suffering. And the way that cause manifests, the effects of that cause, the anxiety, the stress, the guilt, the unhappiness, the jealousy, the envy, the pain, the anger, they're the effects of the cause me. Now in the scriptural so-called passages you'll hear a lot of talk about so-called karma. My karma. This is my karma. I'm going to suffer. All that karma is cause and effect. What happened in the investigation? I asked myself the simple question, can there be any effect if it's not related to a cause? Well, can it? Pairs of opposites, cause and effect. Not related to a cause, where can the effect lodge? Where can it happen? Who to? Now it's seemingly there in the manifestation, in the pairs of opposites. But what are we pointing out? The pairs of opposites are only appearance, only seemingly so. If me is the cause, and the effects of fear, anger, guilt, depression, and the me is a fiction, recognised a fiction, where is the anger, the fear, or the depression going to lodge? Now it's going to vibrate in the opposites. But just like your breath vibrating now, coming in and coming in, how long can you hang on to the breath? If you're breathing in, you're going to breathe out. If you're breathing out, you're going to breathe in. You're not fixating on it, you can't hold it for very long at all. So what's going to happen to this so-called karma? Which is relating to might happen at some future time, not it's going to happen right now, it's like the breath. At some future time it'll catch up with me. Have a look at that time. What is time? Is there a past if I don't think about it? Well, I just stopped thinking for a while then. And I couldn't postulate or think of a future time without bringing a thought into it. Just what is. And it's always just as it is. So you see, I can't live in the past. I can go back and recall certain parts of it. But that which I can't recall is gone for good. But that which I can recall, the life it's having is only what's going to be giving right here, now, in the presence, when that recollection is coming out. And have a look at that. You can't live yesterday, and you can't live tomorrow. And yesterday is past, it's dead, it's gone. And you can only regurgitate little bits of it, like the dog returned to its vomit. And the future, you can anticipate and imagine what you're going to do when you leave here. Nice feed waiting for us out there. I can imagine and anticipate it. And I can even bring up the seeming taste in my mouth in that imagination. It become intense. But it's only anticipating it and imagining it. It's not the actuality. So time's a mental concept. The belief in a separate entity is a concept. The whole manifestation is conceptual. And they tell you that in Buddhism, they call it the great perfection. They call it the absolute, the great perfection, the godliness, different labels for it. They put on liberation, realisation, all different labels they put them on. But they give it in one sentence in the Buddhism, and they call it the great perfection, or the absolute. Nothing can be added to it, nothing taken away. And they say the great perfection is non-conceptual awareness. Awareness without these concepts. Now, doesn't mean to say you've got to be rid of all your concepts, because in the spontaneous functioning of so-called thinking, concepts arise. And have a look at that. What is your next thought going to be? That's all the concept is, a thought. What is your next thought? And nobody here can tell me what your next thought is. But doesn't thinking happen? And if it's happening, and I haven't thought it, doesn't that mean it's spontaneous? There's no thinker thinking a thought, but what's happened, the way we are now, we claim it. I'm thinking this thought. And the thought I think has become a subject. That's me. And the thought I'm thinking has become the object. Again, dualism. That goes on all the time, but we've got to recognise it and know for certain. You don't have to, but if you move to do it, you'll do it. Nobody can do it for you. That's the important thing. Nobody can give it to you or do it for you. And that's what we've taken on the belief. We're going to get it from somebody. Somebody's going to show us how. And I'll get it if I practice this and practice that. Do this meditation. Who's the doer? If you think I'm doing, it's the subject again. And the subject is a fiction. Doing happens, like seeing and thinking. But there's no doer that can claim it all. And this thing called meditation. Who's meditating? Me. What am I meditating on? Some concept that I've got to become. They tell you the natural meditation, and with no one to meditate, and nothing to meditate on. That's going on in the spontaneous living right now. Spontaneously happening. So the idea or concept that me can do anything at all is what keeps us in the trap. But realise the recognition that you are life itself. That breathing, heart beating, hair and fingernails growing, food being digested, is the functioning of that pure life essence. Intelligence energy. Intelligence is knowing. Not your intellect, it's the knowing that you are. And the energy is the knowingness of it. Knowingness implies an activity. An activity is intelligence. And any activity is a movement of energy, a vibration. So you see, that's functioning, all this so-called manifestation. We are not separate from it. Never have been, never can be, never will. While we're separate and believe we're having a rough trot, we're having a worse trot than we necessarily need to have. Letting the life essence that you are, that's living here right now, relaxing into it, and see that that spontaneous, natural meditation is going on continually, always happening. Listen to your breath. So am. Sa as you breathe in. Sa, or put it the other way, when you breathe out, ham, sa, so ham. That's going on all the time. I had to repeat it for you. All the time I was in the ashram, I was repeating it. I was in the garden, I'd shovel the shit, and the shovel would be saying it. It went into the gravel, into the shit. The birds would be singing it. So I don't have to get used to it. It was going on spontaneously and naturally. And you hear it in every sound, everything. So, not so noisy these days, but it's still going on with every breath you take. You can't talk about a lot of these things to a lot of people. They don't understand and don't want to. They get out the hammer and tacks, crucify. Well, isn't that so? But they can do that because I haven't got long to go.
Come on.
So I can speak about it, some of these things. But there is that life, some beautiful and wondrous life. It's clarity, it's warmth, it's loving to be. And I've gone on too long.
Never too long. Never.
And that's enough, so you can have a go. You want to say a few things there, do it?
Well, you started late, so you could go on for a little longer. And this is the clock. And I gotta make an apology to everyone who was waiting. And because we have people now, human factor, so we're gonna be late probably more than today. We're gonna be late every other day or maybe every week. So please don't send me messages asking whether Bob carked it, because it's not funny. I mean, no, sorry, I didn't get the message. Bob has yeah, when you joke about it, okay. But I kind of don't like, well, even when people ask, oh, is he all right? when we are late, I get the message, oh, something happened. No, nothing happened. It's a human factor. So I'm sorry, and thank you for waiting. 15 people shown up just as we started streaming, another 15 2 minutes later. So thank you for being with us, and thank you for your patience, and sorry that we're going to be late probably more often. I also have apologies to make for those who came late, because of those messages I kind of barked or growled at you, so I'm sorry, please forgive me. It is just the tension.
My apology for ringing the bell. My apology.
Yeah, I kind of, you know what, we may get some maybe Christmas gifts, some better bell, if anyone yeah, so sorry everyone, I really wanted that place to be a safe space, and that wasn't very compassionate response to actually just bark straight from the beginning. Okay.
So you rang the bell, Jane. That's pretty good.
It rings the bell for her, so she rings the bell for everyone. Yes.
She gets it from her father.
And I got a couple of comments from a couple of nice good morning messages, and a couple of comments from people sending love to everyone. And Amarnath saying, me is just a word, thought phenomenon happens on non-phenomenal, thoughtless, wordless awareness. And I have a couple of screenshots which doesn't show up anymore. So love and good morning messages from Sally, Kathy, Joe and Raymond. And John David says, opposite of fear is courage. And Bob gives us this courage to see the false as false. Love ya, Bob and Kat. Yeah, that's...
But is it courage, though? Because when we're being courageous, aren't we scared, but we're just taking action anyway?
So would you? I mean, I'm just playing with that word. That it doesn't matter.
It's just
If it,
word.
yeah.
Got all the courage you need. Got all the serenity you need. Got all the trust. It's all there.
Yeah, it was the question whether the courage is opposite of fear, or what is some spiritual ideas say that love is opposite of fear. I don't quite understand that one either. But yes, let's just play with words. So you say it's courage.
Oh no, I'm just babbling. It doesn't matter really. I was just saying, because I've thought about that. When sometimes I'm working with people, and they're feeling afraid. And so sometimes what I'll do to support people in their, if they want to move beyond that fear, is we go to the apparent opposite. Even if there is no, I'll be like, all right, well, what would be the opposite of fear? And they've said courage. And I'm like, really? Because, and in my mind, it's like, all right, courage. When I'm being courageous, I'm actually really scared, but I'm taking action anyway. So is it the opposite of fear? I would think. That, somebody once said to me, that excitement is actually the same energy as fear, just the opposite end. So I'm like, yeah, instead of no. That would be more the opposite, wouldn't it? If you had an opposite, even though there are no opposites. I'm just babbling.
If somebody was hurting those little kittens you got there, you'd jump in straight away, wouldn't you? You wouldn't think about courage or fear.
No.
Spontaneous.
They were just words anyway. Fear, courage, which come from sounds as well.
That's
so it's
right.
all conceptual
Can
overlay,
you hold
isn't
this
it?
one?
Oh, sorry.
Because otherwise...
Oh, I just sort of finished, but fear, courage, and all that just all comes from just words, which come from sounds, which is all just a conceptual overlay, isn't it?
It's a label.
Yeah, but I was just
I'm just playing with them.
no, it's good. I just
What's it saying?
done.
Here.
When no discriminating thoughts arise, the old mind ceases to be. Nothing either good or bad but thinking makes it so. The great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences. When you've got discriminating thoughts, you've got a preference.
And as Adrian was saying, it is really just a different vibration. So whether you label one vibration fear, another vibration courage, yet another vibration excitement, we call it two ends of the sticks. We call it the opposites. But that's just a stick, and somewhere on the spectrum you have different vibration and different label for that vibration. But what it is, what it really is just the bubbling energy.
It doesn't really matter. It's just a
True.
label anyway.
That's right.
Yeah, I was just playing.
Yeah.
It's fun for me to play with words sometimes.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, that's true. Yeah, can you pass it on?
Sure. I might need a bit more lead here, though.
Yeah, you go.
Oh, there we go.
Some people say courage, it originated from our heart. So if we go back to the history of courage, it's from our heart, and that's really who we all are. Thanks.
Talk more on courage? No?
Haven't got any courage. And that's the trouble, we get locked in the words and start discriminating the words. That's like it says in the Bible, when so-called Christ was on the so-called cross. The soldiers were down playing dice over his clothes. He was up there, they could have been asking him, quick, tell us what's the secret of this life, what is right now. Instead of that, they were discriminating and arguing over a bit of cloth. And that's what we do, we start arguing
Over the words.
over the words.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, that's a brilliant point. Jamie says that was the best talk ever. And Nicole is asking what time is the Zoom meeting tomorrow, US time.
Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, it is all on the website, but Julia will repeat it.
I believe that the New Yorkers or the people in the U.S. changed their clocks this weekend. I could be wrong. It happens once a year. So
I've checked it and I updated the website.
okay, so good. So the website knows. Because I'm not really sure right now. But
Between
the-
2:30 p.m. and 5:30.
depending on which time zone you're in, just look at the website because I think she put in all the different time zones. So
But to keep it simple, it's 9:30 Melbourne time.
there you go. That makes it easy.
9:30 a.m. Melbourne time.
Yeah, just go by my time.
10:30 Queensland time.
And
Don't listen to Simon. What do you do?
And we have a comment from Rohan saying, one insight that help with cutting out the mental carry-on here is seeing that there is only what is happening here and now. The sensing. Anything outside that is only imagined, a dream, and cannot be known as fact. Oh, I lost it. Yeah,
Thank you, Rowan.
yeah, that's beautiful. I'll just see if there is more to that comment because this telephone is not.
And sorry. And as a performer, there used to be a lot of identification with the alleged anxiety and fear that went before a performance. And Bob just said to me one day, just don't name it, and so just watch it. And so what was happening was there seemed to be a speeding up of the energy. If you had to talk about it, it was just a speeding up of the energy prior to the performance. It's like the little, butterflies in your stomach were sort of getting ready to fly, if you like. And so that just took away all fear prior to performance. It was just the energy that I am was gaining a little more for that action to take place.
Beautiful. Yeah,
And Jane shared that with me, and I had the same thing happen to me, like instantly. It was like I wasn't performing, but not on stage anyway, but still performing, and I had the same anxiety, and then the label just dropped, and it was this fluttering, this wonderful building up of energy before the performance. And it was fantastic. It's been fantastic ever since. So thanks, Jane and Bob and everyone else.
And yourself.
As I always say, if you awaken at the Adamsons, Bob's your uncle.
And we got another couple of comments. One could say it was a good and helpful reframing, but it was actually unframing because you don't really change the frame, you actually take it off and leave it as it is. Tanya says, this intelligence energy is a grumpy vibration also, haha. Although grumpy is a label, discrimination, recognizing this is not about being perfect saint, always calm, blissful and patient. Yeah, beautiful, that's right. Just like a bird, it can fly lower before the storm or fly higher when it's sunny. Caroline, beautifully said, Jane. Thanks for sharing. And Amarnath, thank you, Jane. Performance without performer. Beautiful, lovely. And I think I had a couple of other screenshots from before. Catherine, I sat on the bank of the Goulburn River this morning with your book cut. Spent time marveling at the nature around me and the joy that your insights have brought. Thank you and love to you both. Well, thank you, Catherine, and love to you. And that's Nicole sending love. And John David, opposite to fear is courage. We've been here before, sorry. Amarnath, me is just a word. Thought, phenomenon happens on non-phenomenal, thoughtless, wordless awareness. Yes, I think that is for the screenshots, and see if we have more live comments. Nope.
I was thinking about the
Just the removal of the frame. I do like that better than reframing. I mean, I know that's that I'm doing. I'm playing with words. It's just I'm not doing it, but there's a reframing. But it is so much simpler, isn't it? To just don't even go there.
Don't frame it, yeah. Although we are we are storytellers. The meanings, the goals, all of it are stories. So to have better story is kind of more pleasant and easier than to have bad story.
It's like as long as there's going to be some framing happening anyway. It's nice to be able to play with them sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've the framing that goes on, for example, is like the shoulding or the thinking. That this form should perhaps go ahead.
Everything is the plane of consciousness. So as you say, playing, it's consciousness playing with itself. Stop playing with yourself.
This is a scene.
Secrets out.
And we have, yes, this we could say take courage or take guts to live without the frame and without the story, positive story, negative story, stay in the mind frame of I don't know. Like we had a couple of comments yesterday on the Facebook about the life being predetermined. That's certainly a better story to tell to yourself than free will, in which you are guilty for every little thing that happened wrong or opposite to your desires. But it's still a story.
There can't be a predetermined. If
I know,
it's
a story, yes.
Yeah.
It's a better story, but how about living in a space of I have no idea? That's living in a space beyond the mind. living in the space of I don't know. Bob calls it spontaneous, says neither predetermined, no, whatever, but that's really, I don't know, is a space beyond the mind, where you don't have story, you don't have frame, positive, negative, and finding actually certainty and safety in that space. It means you really anchor, grounded in the heart rather than in the mind. And we have Nicole saying, thank you, I wish I was with you all. Oh, there you are, Nicole. You are with us now. And welcome. Your book is great, Kat. Oh, thank you, Nicole. That's also Nicole. I really speed Amarnath. Oh, JB said something and I kind of didn't get it. So Tanya, thank you for replying to it. JB says, who am I without a word label to describe a conceptual image that is called me, or any other personal pronoun associated with a me that has past or future? The labels are creating the duality, and becoming seems to arise out of this imagined duality. Without a me, there is only being. What's left without labels and words? Life is just happening, as they, quote unquote, say for no one. Thank you for the pointers as always. I love you both and the rest of the group. Thank you, JB. That's beautifully said. Excellent said, says Tanya. And thank you, Tanya, for commenting, because I would miss it otherwise. Amarnath says, reference without reference point. Late time in timeless. Beautiful. And Tanya's laughing. And she says, I nearly spit out my coffee. You are so funny. Thanks. Actually, when Julia was talking about words, I put the camera on Bob having his coffee with the finger, because everyone was laughing. Nobody was laughing at you, Julia. They were. They were. And I guess that's when Tanya nearly spit out her coffee. That's, it is funny.
I like the word fortitude, now that we're doing words. I like the word fortitude, and it means courage in adversity. And so I think that's sort of relating to what you were saying about the heart. I think when a person who's been dogged by their patterns sees those patterns and looks at them in a different light and stops acting out, like, for instance, people who've used to be alcoholic, or who had an alcohol or drug addiction or any kind of addiction. I think they have fortitude, courage in adversity, which is created by grace. All these are words, but, I'm just playing with words here. And so I think most people who overcome patterns have a lot of fortitude, which is the heart, courage in adversity, coming from the heart, not living in the head in the patterns anymore, but living in the heart. That's just what came up here, words.
Bob, how does your experience of pain differ now than before you were awake?
Wait, darling. Yes, experience of pain here. How does it differ from the time?
Like everything else, you can let it go, not fixate on it. You can get by, but the sudden bursts of it, put a wrong twist on it, it'll be a sudden sort of pain there. And instead of just manage it, now I can just let it be, and it moves away.
So this really response to pain, not the pain. The pain is the same, it's just no resistance or holding or dramatizing.
Pain can overshadow us. One could be overshadowed by pain, but does that still apply when one has awoken?
For a start off, there's no one who can awaken anyway. But life of the thing, as it goes on, it's nothing like it used to be. It's hard to explain, you know. Just a natural falling back into the... Even though thoughts are going on, there's all the background of seeming thought is always there. And it's empty.
Can you fall unconscious if the pain level is so high that the brain literally cut off the circuits?
Probably would. Probably would, yeah.
Yeah. So he had a couple of operations and he was under anesthetic. By all means, he fell asleep. The pain or the medication, yes, like if you look at the animals, you can put them asleep with the injection. They all experience pain. The pain can cause unconsciousness in a way, like completely falling asleep. The pain can cause the scream. It's just what is different is the response to pain that happens in the narrative. And the idea that, oh, this pain shouldn't be there, this pain is wrong, it is horrible. Even labeling it pain is less obvious. The label may come up, but you don't believe the label.
I think that responding now, the difference in the responding seems to, like, can only, none of it's anybody woken here, okay? But I remember, like, I don't know, I grew up in New York, where right now it's cold in the west, northern hemisphere, it's getting winter. And I remember noticing one time as a child how it was cold. It was like bone chilling. Sometimes it hurts, it's so cold. And you could do this at the grocery store here in the summertime or at the refrigerator section of Costco. As you go in a t-shirt and you allow yourself to be cold. And what I observed was when there was an okay with the cold, there was a relaxing into the cold, an allowing of the cold, a not resisting of the cold, and not arguing against the cold. There was still an awareness of the cold, but it wasn't as uncomfortable as when I was going like this and I was resisting it. That's all.
Yeah, and further to what you're saying, actually. I just remember, Bob, when I used to work in your health food shop, and one day I cut my finger, and you were right there, and, I had a big hunk out of my, I can't remember, finger or thumb, and the blood was pouring, and I was freaking out, and he said, just look at it, just watch it. Just watch it, just watch your reaction, watch it, focus on it. And all of a sudden I just took a big deep breath. Someone came along with a bandage or a, thing. I stuck the bit of skin back in. There was no fear attached to it. There was no anxiety. There was no... The reaction dropped away. That was in, the 1990s. And so... And it was just such an incredible exercise. So whenever I've hurt myself afterwards, and I've hurt myself quite a lot over the years, I've always remembered that that exercise that Bob taught me is just watch it, don't name it, watch the reaction, just watching, not naming, and all of a sudden you just take a big breath and you just go, oh. And that can apply to any pain, whether it's psychological or physical.
It's like a step back from it, isn't it?
Yeah,
An externalisation.
Sorry. That's right,
Yeah.
exactly.
No, I was just going to jump in and just say that, like, another thing also, and like the same thing with pain, I've had been in hospitals where they give you an IV. Probably can't, you won't use the dirty words, but that hurts like a mother, okay? It hurts a lot. So what I've observed is, like, I've been able to actually receive the needle being shoved into my vein, and without even flinching, because all that has to happen is me just, like, pouring as though I want it to happen. I try to feel it as much as I can, without going into the thoughts. I just go, yeah, can I feel this even more and allow this even more? And it just, there's an awareness of the sensation, but because I'm not going, no, we're fighting it, I don't know. I just, my mind remembers to dive in and feel it when pain shows up.
You know, just right thoughts. And if you look at the word abuse, if you break it into an acronym, it's an awareness, being, you, source, energy. So it's there at the moment in time, but it's our source energy that's there behind it. Thanks.
Say that again.
You know the word abuse,
yeah,
okay? Awareness, being, you, source, energy.
Awareness being you, source energy. Good, that's a good one. I like that. Oh, sorry.
The Buddhist expression, no self, no suffering, is that actually real?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Yep. That is.
Okay. Well, yes, just another way of saying it is there's pain and then there's suffering, and pain is purely a physiological response, and suffering is the narrative about that response. And it's like really simple, and everyone can test it by just having an ice bath.
And pain is inevitable, suffering's optional.
Yeah.
It's true. Like I used to have, I take ice baths, and it's like there's a physiological feeling of coldness, and it's like there's no story, and it's fantastic. I could stay there forever. Like I'd probably die. No, I have to actually put an alarm to get out because it's actually physiologically dangerous. Yeah. So that's all.
Start with a cold shower.
Yeah.
I'm not ready for that.
Bob is actually taking cold showers.
Start with a shower now.
An ice bath.
Not the ice bath, but the cold showers. Yes, you're taking for 1 minute or longer. 1 minute cold shower or more than that?
Yeah.
Yeah, about one.
Physical pain is a sign it's all's not well with the body. Look after it.
Look
But
after
the
it.
psychological pain doesn't have to be there. Don't put any attention into it.
I have a couple of comments here. Rohan says to Jane, beautiful Jane, we all intuitively know what is meant to live from the heart. We have words that we use to describe it like heartfelt, and there is a knowing of what that points to. Yes.
Thank you, Rohan.
Thank you, Rohan. And Julia, British Julia, physical or mental pain, no difference. Yeah, they both hurt, but physical is inevitable and mental is optional. When suffering is suffering, that's it. But some of the suffering is totally avoidable upon investigation. Amarnath says, thinking is the greatest addiction, but thinking without thinker is spontaneous joy, fun. Tragedy turns into comedy. It doesn't matter whether thoughts and thoughtless awareness. And British Julia, you are the cold experiencing the cold. Yeah, you are the totality. Cold actually can't, everything can be experienced from its opposite. But as the totality, sure. Amarnath, watching finger is watching eyes. Phenomenal me, thinker, watcher is lost. Thank you, Jane, great. And Matthew, Sailor Bob's ass. Not sure what's...
What was it?
That was Matthew. And Amarnath says, there is perception but no projections. Pain or suffering can be there without me or sufferer. Yeah, if you label it suffering, you can label it. Now, Tanya, excellent questions and sharing. So much gratitude and heartfelt resonation. Thank you all so much. Love you. Enjoy your lovely lunch. I wish I was there also. Yes, we have plenty of food. I hope we will not be left with all that food like a couple of weeks ago. And they say when I was in a Zen monastery in Vietnam, I was there a couple of times for a few weeks, that to be a cook in the Zen monastery, you really have to have profound clarity, because you're dealing with the energy that goes to the food, that is actually being, whatever the belief is. That was a really compelling, beautiful story. And I have to tell you, we got up at 7 and Bob was putting a lot of that beautiful clarity into chopping things, smashing avocado, putting chocolate over the croissants. And
Did you say chocolate?
we did, yes. So if the Zen master or Zen clarity can bring all that goodness into the food, that's a nice, beautiful little story to believe when you will be eating the lunch. Still the story, though. That's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to hear all this one.
Mm.
Thank you, Bob.
A lot of
Thank you.
Thank you, Kat.
Thank you, everyone.
the one essence there is very strong. You are that.
Yeah, we are. We won. We have. And British Julia says, I'm hungry. Still early in Western Australia. Yes, you can have breakfast. And enjoy the beautiful energy and hope to see you in person one day. We hope so too, Julia.
Yeah,
we do, yes. Amarnath, Bob is cook of Maya. Phenomena. And thank you all, says Amarnath. Thank you, Bob and Kat. You are making us hungry with all this food talk. Yes. So, we ready for the food? Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
And sorry for disturbances.